Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the final Phase 2 match for the G1 League. We are just about to wrap things up and move on to Phase 3. The full schedule for Phase 3 was just released. I saw it goes to Gamers News Post. I imagine there will be more soon. It looks like an absolute blast. One best out of three every day, starting with group stages and then moving on into elimination brackets. But before we get there, we got to find out who our 8th team is going to be. Will it be Neolution.TH, the upstarts from Thailand, who I would say shocked a lot of people by actually winning their Phase 2 Round 1 match, beating Tongfu 2-0 convincingly at that and moving on into this match? Or will it be Zenith, who took care of business with first departure and should be the heavy favorites by all accounts? We'll find out now. I'm LD. I'm joined here by Luminous. We are Beyond the Summit, and we are delighted to be bringing you some G1 League coverage. Lumi, your predictions for this series?
My prediction would have been 2-0 Zenith if for not Neolution's Thailand's defeat against Tongfu yesterday. They play really, really well. Impressive Dota. So, but I'm still going to say Zenith, most likely 2-1. I think these guys are good enough to take a game at least off Zenith. But Zenith is just so damn stacked. Look at their players. Ice, XY, Yamate, X Freedom. All of these are superstars in the Southeast Asian scene, and I cannot root against them. Yeah,
it's... Neolution Thailand played really well, but to be fair, Tongfu did look a bit weak. Some really sloppy decision-making. Great individual play by Teletubby, who appears not to be here unless Kozing Kapoi is the same player. But, well, without Teletubby, this series will get a bit harder for them, I imagine. So, with all that being said, what are we going to see here? Zenith first picked the Nyx Assassin, Neolution Thailand. They have some time to think this one over. Magnus, I think, the big hero that's still in the pool. There is a Phantom Lancer, but there won't be the Keeper of the Light to combo with them. They'll start with the Mag, and then the question is, what do they go for next? They're going to protect him. They get the counter support to the Mag and the Rubik.
Yeah, Rubik's actually pretty nice hero to have against Nyx Assassin. There's no bad spell to steal. I think by worst you could steal is the Spike Carapace, because Rubik doesn't stay in the middle of the fight. But when you steal a 0 casting time Impale, it's pretty insane. Mana Burn's going to be great late. But for me, it's the fact that you can actually initiate against Nyx Assassin without being Spike Carapace. A lot of other supports, think of your Crystal Maiden, think of your Earthshaker Fissure or your Magic Missile. When they see the spell coming around, you are going to get stunned by the Spike Carapace. Rubik is one of those heroes that can get bypass that. So just a little bit of a nice pickup here against Nyx Assassin. But still, Nyx Assassin, to me, is the most powerful hero being picked up so far.
Yeah, let's see what they're going to do the rest of the way. They start with the Nyx Assassin. And what the question is going to be always with Zenith, what kind of role will the Nyx Assassin play? Just because they're so unpredictable with their lanes, but they go back for the XY Tinker. Boy, he has been, I mean, in general, I have to say, I don't think any other region can even light a candle to the Southeast Asian Tinker play. We have so many strong Tinker players. There's Ohio, there's XY, there's X Freedom. There's a bunch more that I'm forgetting off the top of my head. We've seen some kind of unknown players running the Tinker as well. It seems to be a very popular here in the region, and especially for the split-pushing teams. Teams like Myth Trust, teams like Zenith, teams even like First Departure to a lesser extent who just like to stall the game. This hero is a pain in the ass to deal with, and especially when you're playing someone like Mag, where you try to run in for an RP, you get hit by the March, you can't actually go. The Rockets can drive you back from long range, and, well, Tinker and Nyx. If they get to the mid-game, it is going to be hard for Neolution Thailand to move freely around the map, and classic Zenith with these 3 picks, so I think a good opening for them.
Meanwhile, Anti-Mage is going to get snapped up here by Neolution. I just want to really kind of continue what you said about Tinker, especially in this kind of games where it's very, very hectic. Teamfight go crazy, and in the middle of teamfight, those rocket and laser coming in, it really cuts on people's HP, and he could do repeatedly, obviously. So, obviously, I think XY does go for the Breach of Travel Blink Dagger build.
He does.
So, yeah, and if you're Rubik, you're going to be very, very careful. You're probably going to be dead no matter how far you stay back. So, yeah, Tinker is going to be a great pickup here. Late game situation is going to give you that continuous Scythe advice against Anti-Mage. So, Neolution, despite having the quote-unquote better late game heroes right now, I don't think it's by far that much better, because Tinker, in my books, is a late game hero.
Yeah, he's really one of the best. He's not going to do the damage by himself, but if they go back for, I don't know, we've seen Yamate playing that Dragon Knight, that's a possibility. I think we've seen some Juggernaut from him. There's plenty of carries that Yamate can play, which will provide that physical damage. The one thing Neolution Thailand have going for them is they have Anti-Mage Magnus, so they have insane late-game cleave, good, basically all well-rounded DPS potential from him. And if they go for a secondary carry, they will have someone who can scale reasonably well. The one thing is, can they... the last time we saw a team up against the Neo or the Zenith Tinker, they tried to aggressive tri-lane. I believe that was first departure, and they just died to March the Machines over and over. They gave up 2 kills early on, I think in a tri-lane versus just the Tinker, something along those lines. And from there was just no way to deal with it. So as we saw, going aggressive against Tinker is hard. I imagine we're not going to see Neolution.TH do that this game. They haven't gone for anyone who really can be aggressive aside from Rubik, so I think we'll see them trading, in which case Zenith, maybe they look to get greedy here. Throw the Darkseer in the jungle, pick up another solo mid, run the Nyx as a support. You can run the Tinker as your safe lane farmer. Get, say, a Dragon Knight or some sort of mid-game damage dealer for Yamate who can roam around the map with his team, maybe get that Shadow Blade up. I feel like if you're Zenith, you expect Neolution to play defensively here based on this draft, and you get greedy, and you go for maybe 4 heroes that will scale well instead of just 3.
That's also by far quite a dangerous strat, though. Just casting Chain Stack's game. Chain Stack chains the player, runs a insane anti-mage. They first pick it basically whenever they can. And to me, is whenever they get those trades, let's say your carry gets farmed, our anti-mage gets farmed, anti-mage just seems like he either farms faster or he's like more potent with farm. He uses gold better. So to me, I feel like I came to respect anti-mage a lot more now, seeing other heroes like PL in the carry slot, seeing things morphling, making a resurgence, seeing things like Void or Dragon Knight. Anti-mage is so one of those heroes that no matter the situation, no matter the lineup that he's against, he's got a plan. Some other carries just get flat out countered. Anti-mage has a late game Battle Fury build. He has an early game Vanguard Vlad's build that we saw yesterday from the Chain Stack. So it's somewhat always dangerous to trade farm against anti-mage. But let's see if Zenith's going to do that.
I think Zenith is a team that's okay with that. They've given away hard carries and left them unchecked because their strategy is usually... in general, I completely agree with you. It's very dangerous. It's very risky. And that's not to say it's not risky with Zenith. They're just a team that likes to do it. They will trade even what looks like a weaker late game lineup, but they'll just get greedy with their items. They'll get greedy with their lanes. And they might not have the hardest carry in the game, but they'll pick an extra carry or an extra hero who scales. So maybe we'll see something... I mean, I mentioned the Dragon Knight as a possibility here. Maybe we even see the Naga Siren, something that Ice 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 used to play a lot. Perhaps our Tinker goes mid. It's a Nyx Naga Siren tri-lane. They go for Gyro. So already, I would say, an incredibly greedy lineup from them. Sure, you could run Gyro as a support, but Nyx needs a lot of levels. Gyro does need a lot of levels to contribute later on. So off the bat, it's 4 heroes that want levels, that want farm. And hey, I think it's what Zenith likes to do. I think they're fine with this. And if it goes late, well... it's not that Neolution can't win, but Zenith are prepared for it to go late, and I really feel that's where they're going to excel, just with the better team decision-making compared to most other teams, and the veteran experience, something that Neolution.TH doesn't quite have as of yet.
Yeah, for me, I like this draft so far as well. You talked about the late game potential of Zenith. I'm seeing the early game potential as well, because Nyx Assassin, Gyrocopter, if you want to take this as an offensive tri-lane, they are a great hero to have. Just ton of damage output. 2 or 3 man impale as well as Rocket Barrage plus Flat Cannon. You'll beat just about any other tri-lane. I think if they want to go offensive tri-lane, they need a little bit more range. Shadow Demon is going to be the defensive hero here, and that's going to be comboing very well with Anti-Mage. So I think seeing that hero, maybe Zenith says, all right, we're going to run it. We're going to trade some farm here and there. But they still have the possibility to go offensive if that's what they want to do.
They could... I feel it's a bit risky, though. Like you said,
it's hard.
The big thing is they don't have the setup stun, and then the other issue is, even if they get it here, which I'm not sure who that would be, as Shadow Demon is picked and Rubik are picked up by Neolution, but let's say they find it. If they have a bad start, they're really neutering their mid game, more so than other lineups, because they have Nyx and Gyro, heroes that, just with a basic level of farm, say you get your Gyro level 6 in boots, that makes a difference. And, I mean, talk about greedy. Silencer, this is probably the 5-position support, I want to say. I guess it could be a Gyro Nyx support and a Silencer as one of the farmers, but either way, I mean, this is about as greedy as you could ever get in a game of Dota, and I actually think it's the right way to play against Neolution, just because they started with a lineup that you really don't expect to go aggressive tri-lane. Maybe they'll pull a hero that can out of the hat. Maybe we see something with the Shadow Demon Rubik +1, and they do run an aggressive tri-lane mag solo mid. Anti-Mage can either handle Darkseer or just be left alone in the lane if Darkseer decides to jungle, but I don't know. If Neolution doesn't go aggressive, I think Zenith will be pretty happy, even though they've given a lot away in terms of farm.
Yeah, Zenith is okay if Neolution don't go aggressive. They're fine to trade farm. Gyrocopter, matching him against Anti-Mage, especially with Empower in mind, is a little bit dicey, but you still have Silencer, which I think it's the perfect pickup against this lineup. If your finger's fast enough, Magnus blinks in, Global comes down, and he suddenly is completely out of position by himself, thinking that he could either skewer or, of course, drop an ultimate. Diaz or Nature Prophet, and that's going to be a sign that it's going to be a tri-lane for sure involving the 3 middle hero. And Nature's Prophet hopefully will earn that 1v1 lane against one of Zenith's hero, but any Zenith hero we see here, even like Nyx Assassin or Silencer, will beat Nature's Prophet 1v1. So Zenith is going to win at least one lane for sure.
Here's the only thing I don't like about Zenith's lineup. They don't have a reliable initiating stun. Impale is close, but it's not quite. It does have a decent cast animation, and they don't really have follow-up. For me, the Zenith lineup, they basically have to get that fast Scythe of Ice on XY. Until they do, Anti-Mage is just going to run rampant, and Tracer is going to have a whale of a time, and that's a bit of a concern, because they don't have the Shadow Demon, they don't have the Rubik, they don't have that initiating stun. But once XY gets the Scythe of Ice, that's another way to just stop the mag when he jumps in, stop the Anti-Mage when he jumps in. We have seen XY with those really fast reactions on the Scythe of Ice, and of course, has that instant cast time, so it makes it even easier to land it, basically. But overall, I mean, I like what Neolution did as well. They didn't really have a great option to go aggressive. There wasn't that many heroes left that could do it. And going aggressive against a hero like Gyrocopter and potentially a Darkseer can come out of the jungle and assist, that's a bit dicey. So getting this Prophet, something which maybe you just build the Midas, you play for split push, you play to get the early Aegis up on the Anti-Mage, get some outer towers, spread the map, and then look to end the game, or at least get full map control before the Tinker gets too fat, before Zenith get their big items up on their supports like the Blink Dagger or the Nyx. So basically we're seeing greed versus greed, but I think based on the way the draft started, it was the correct response for both teams to get greedy towards the end.
Yeah, going back to Global Silence and the lack of stun on Zenith, you bring up a good point. Impale, of course, if you want to farm a quick Orchid, maybe on a farming Nyx Assassin, that's a thing we've seen from Team Liquid's Korok as well. But yeah, until the Blink Scythe comes up, you are not going to have to stun. The cool thing of having a Silencer on your team is that any stun that you have, himself as a hero makes your stun a little bit better. Impale in conjunction with Silence, you get a couple more right clicks in, or let's say a slow in conjunction with Global, you get more right clicks in and chasing power. Anti-Mage, normally you stun him once, you stun him twice, he just blinks away after those stuns are done. When he's dealing with a couple of silences on top, well, things gets a little bit dicey for him. So
that's true.
I don't think Intriso gets out of the trees as freely as he normally would dealing with a silencer. And also it comes down to how liberal does the silencer want to use his ultimate, because there's quite a bit of dangerous spellcasting on the enemy side, so especially that mag blinked in I talked about, and if you want to use it for an anti-mage kill, well, you won't have it to counter the mag when he does blink in against you. So it's going to be, in my opinion, Silencer Global, one of the best ultimate in the game if you use it properly, but a lot of times it's not used properly. It's so hard to use at the right time, right places.
I feel like I see it used improperly probably 90% of the time.
Yeah,
based on like
tough.
Like 10, I don't know, maybe I've cast like 10 to 15 Silencer games in the pro scene since he's been picked, and he's almost always a support, and even when he's a solo mid, it feels like that ult is not used correctly. But if it's not used correctly, they have things that could just stall until it's off cooldown. You have the March spam, you have the call down spam, so some games, I feel like if you mess up the global, there's just nothing to fall back on, but the Zenith lineup has a lot of counter push, a lot of AoE to stall things while they wait for it. We'll have to wait and see, but Lumi, let's introduce the teams. On the side of Zenith, we have Yamate going to be playing that safe lane, farming Gyrocopter. Ice on the hard support, the Nyx Assassin. We will have XY on his solo mid Tinker. This is the one player I really want to keep an eye on. I've seen some great play from his Tinker over the course of this tournament, and I think he had some sensational play as well that UCAS versus First Departure. X-Freedom on the support Silencer. And last but not least, we're going to have Ice 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 on the off-lane Darkseer. May not get a whole lot out of this off-lane, but we'll see what he can do.
Meanwhile here, we do have the Teletubby, not too sure who this is, Kozing Kapoi on the Magnus. On the top lane here, we're going to have Upper playing the Shadow Demon. Anti-Mage is going to be handled by Intriso. Looks like the Nature's Prophet trying to brush the Midas, that's KYT. And last but not least, we have Noxum, the captain, playing just war. I was supposed to say, is he going off lane Rubik? No, he was trying to put down a couple wards. He did one very deep in the enemy jungle, and he's going to be on the Rubik.
That can generally be rather dangerous, but if you look at the heroes in this game, you expect Darkseer is going to start off either far away in his own jungle or in the off lane. Silencer's not really going to stop you from warding, and they only have the one stun in Nyx, so normally you'd say, what is Noxum doing? He's basically hoping that nobody sees him or he'll feed, but in this game, I don't actually think it was that dangerous. So he gets the ward off. Let's see what they can do. And now he's going to retreat into his own jungle and just look to basically slow Zenith down. So Neolution correctly predicting that a defensive tri-lane from Zenith and doing what they can to do some economic damage, slow down the early pulls, whereas for Zenith, haven't done anything just yet in that regard.
Yeah, for that, it's going to just pay out Sentry Ward from X-Freedom, which I'm sure they kind of expect. And the thing I'm liking that what Noxum is doing right now, going to the enemy stacks, making sure that there's no pulling, no shenanigans going on. I think he could even drop a ward if you really, really want to make sure none of that happened. But none of the Southern East Asian team really care about stacking in the first place anyway, so I'm not sure how much that will actually accomplish.
Oh, this observer was spotted. Radiant observers here. There's a sentry in range as well, so they can deward it. I imagine we'll see XY go for that around the 2-minute rune spawn, but for the moment, looking at the top lane, we will see a disruption on Ice Ice Ice. He's got the double Ion Shell up. He already hit level 2. They weren't able to keep him out of the lane, and that's the one downside of Rubik's movement is if you can keep that Darkseer at level 1, which is possible with Shadow Demon, Rubik, you can force him to go into the jungle. You can do some pulls to basically deny him the experience. But now that he's level 2, it gets hard to drive him out. Sure, they've got a lot of ways to cancel Surge, but they are a bit lacking in damage.
LD. We'll talk about that later. As the courier is coming in the mid lane, it got upgraded. The reason I'm talking about it because Nox, I'm trying to do that little bit of snipe here, and of course that observer ward that you talked about being scoping out. Of course, this is something that we've seen Zenith as well as Orange do a lot. Not only warding the mid lane, but putting a sentry ward there as well, because you expect your Tinker to be smoke ganked. He's a fairly easy hero to get ganked off, and we see more and more teams put the extra sentry just being the extra layer of the defense for XY.
So we're seeing the power of the double Ion Shell harassment in lane is Ice 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 slowing down in Tracer's farm. There are going to be 2 heroes here. Ice 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 just used Surge. Might be an opening to go for him with some Mana Burn, but actually no points in Mana Burn yet for Tracer. Went for Blink as well as Spell Shield. I mean, gets the little bit of extra survivability, but I just feel like the potential to get a kill in that lane is worth taking a little extra harassment early on. Ice 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 gets disrupted. There will be a lift. He will be a bit surrounded, but without Mana Burn, I don't think they can actually get this kill. He will Surge right now. They have Mana Burn, but I don't think it'll be enough. Here comes the teleport with that additional hero. Ice 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 might have actually... Do they have Sprout yet is the question. No Sprout, so they don't bother.
I mean, he was at 400 HP with 3 charges to Magic Wand and Style Shield. Even with Mana Burn, he had no mana to burn, so the damage is not going to really come through. But harassment is done, so that's pretty decent. I mean, Mana Burn's okay, but it feels like your creep wave is always in front of your tower that you don't really see the Darkseer too much, so... It's okay. He does have that point in Mana Burn now, but I won't be surprised if he goes full stat at this point just to tank up and make sure that he is, you know, doesn't get nuked down too early by heroes like Nyx Assassin and Tinker and whatnot.
I would say Zenith are getting the better trades, though. Anti-Mage's farm, it seems like a small thing for creeps, but they're being slowed down, and they have the supports who are going to scale incredibly well. Sure, Rubik, Shadow Demon benefit a lot from levels, but Nyx is a lot scarier with levels. Once he hits level 6, Neolution have to play very defensively. XY slightly ahead in terms of CS mid lane. Actually now, falling behind me because Mag just got a double damage, so equalizes things a bit there. But I guess the X factor is Ice 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 putting some pressure on that off lane. Now a 6 CS lead.
Ooh, mid lane here, skewering against XY. Teleportation comes in.
Got tangos.
Perhaps gonna get the kill.
Oh no.
Shockwave, not enough as he was tangling. Well, not just there, but now we'll be tangling him back to full HP. That was a good attempt here by our Magnus player, using the double damage, trying to go for the kill. Unfortunately, was not enough.
Ice 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 went back to his jungle, hits level 4, and now is going to look to get this 4-minute rune. Noxum can probably grab it. It will be bottom, however, and it will be an illusion rune. Almost a first blood there. XY not really respecting the double damage rune, but I think it wore off there at the last second and needed that 1 extra double damage auto attack to actually get the kill.
Yeah, he got past the south here by the Darkseer too, so he was absolutely fine. Going back to the lane immediately, not missing a beat. Meanwhile, on the top lane here, do you see the 2 supports perhaps trying to gank? I think their better time is better spent at trying to level up, trying to ward up. And there's that smoke gank, and this is a very important time to point out that smoke gank. Central ward is down. And let's see if XY is going to have that map awareness to notice this coming. And of course, Magnus, all he really needs to do is skewer it in or for the shockwave, and they should be easy.
Oh, he's trying to reveal it. Oh, yeah, he's going to get disrupted, though. Maybe in a little bit of trouble if he gets surrounded. He will. He gets thrown down to the low ground. He's going to run right back up the cliff away from that Magnus, but getting body blocked. An sensational body block. He's low. He's got a bottle charge. He'll pop it. He'll live. XY living through the 3-hero smoke gank. There's no shadow poison. He went for 2 points at Soul Catcher for the additional burst. That's 2 failed kill opportunities on the mid lane. And XY, it really felt like, I mean, maybe he was going for the ancient stack, but kind of scouts the smoke gank out there, gets a little bit lucky, lives in the end.
For me, that was a very, very too quick of a lift. If he was a little bit more careful on that, he would have noticed that the illusions as well as the hero would have created a perfect block on the ramp, and he would have actually had to run back and forth. The Tinker, the lift could have came in a lot later, and they would have got a kill for sure. And of course, the shockwave missing. Well, that was just good juking by XY. So a little bit of miscommunication on the Dire side, and they missed another very key kill. You gotta stop XY. You cannot allow him to go breach travel. basically unharassed.
Interesting little adjustment here. They actually rotate the Tinker towards the top lane, feeling that, well, he's maybe under a bit too much pressure in this middle lane. Ice 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 takes over mid, and now XY's going to rotate back top, so maybe just Ice 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 out of position to actually defend that top lane. Looks like that's what it was. Zenith's looking at 2 towers already. Our Nature's Prophet rushing a Midas. Nothing he can really do to stop this push. And the tower's going to drop pretty much uncontested. We could maybe see Mag come with RP, but is low on mana right now. So it's going to be the tower down. It gets denied, though. Big play by KYT. And that's with just Gloves of Haste to his name. Still 2 towers down this early. Let's see what Zenith can do off the back of that.
Well, it looks like Blue's in a little bit of trouble. No, he is invised up, so just kidding here. We do have Magnus getting his Arcane Boots developed. I mean, 2 towers down, this is pretty good, but for me, that's more room for the Prophet to farm right now, and he needs that. He needs his Midas, and he's gonna have the Midas because he's gonna last up basically every single creep under his tower. More importantly, one of those tower denied. That's gonna actually shock up a lot of gold going towards Tinker. Normally 2 tower and a pretty much like a 7-8 minute booty travel for XY, but one of them denied, so delaying that booty travel for a bit. He's gonna go over a little bit of ancient stacking now to try and catch up.
I like this by Zenith. Now they're starting to put pressure on the anti-mage's lane. They didn't just get the tower bottom and then back off to farm the jungle. They rotate Yamate top immediately, and already having phase boots ready to kill it, and with Ice 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 here in reserve, you're gonna be hard to find a kill. It's a level 3 Rubik with no boots. It's an anti-mage with a Perseverance and a Shadow Demon who's 4 with boots. They can't really find a kill in this lane unless Magnus shows up, and speaking of that Magnus, he's lumbering towards the top lane, but there will be a really clever Observer Ward that spots out this rotation completely. Not a spot you normally D-ward.
I mean, more importantly, a lot of mid rotation up top, they think that the Observer Ward's, you know, in the standard river spot, but it's not. It's like a next level mind game Observer Ward, and you run through that one, they know you're coming and they're prepared. But Magnus gonna go back on the mid lane and said, don't want to give up too much EXP. Anti-mage, gotta be very, very careful about this. Trying to protect this tower, and Zenith is going to lay a slow siege, but that's going to give time for Prophet to have his Midas finish, and he's starting to, well, mix up Prophet.
Yeah, still gold lead, 2,000 for Zenith, about a 500 experience lead. They did get that 2 towers, one was denied, so probably about a 500 gold advantage just in terms of farm slash, well, not kills, but I guess economic damage aside from towers. But the big thing is now they're pushing that anti-mage's lane, and he's been farming really well, but it gets a little bit more dangerous to farm now, as we see X-Freedom lurking, drops a Curse of the Silent, forces the anti-mage blink off, constant pressure in the lane. Maybe this is where you just want to rotate that anti-mage off to the bottom lane, let somebody else defend the tower, because frankly, he doesn't do much to defend it, but so far, CSing okay. The real question is, once XY gets those Boots of Travel, will they be able to defend this tower any longer? That's where it's going to get much harder, and by the way, Boots of Travel coming at about 50 gold.
Yeah, also like what Ice is doing on the bot lane. The lane's being
top lane
left freely. Oh.
Here we go. Initiation, disruption. On to Yamate. The Prophet ult splashes through. Doing some decent damage to the Radiant side, but the supports are real low. Max Hewer's in. Airballs it completely. Now the ult drop by Yamate, but not quite good enough. There's the vacuum, making it a good ult. And now the RP. I think too late. First blood claimed by X-Freedom, in fact. And now the blink away. Anti-Mage just destroyed that final projectile. But one auto attack. Gets the kill. Gets a double for Yamate. And Zenith just taking the fight to Neolution as soon as they got their basic items, as soon as they got those 2 towers bottom, not even giving them a moment to breathe. And they pick up 3 kills, including a first blood.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad call down, but the vacuum from Ice 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 completely changed that around. Of course, Surge plus Iron Shell plus Rocket Barrage was absolutely insane. I love the flat cannon, got the double kill, nice. Kind of like a montage movie moment, getting a double kill at low HP like that. Ice finally joined the fight. I like what he was doing on bot lane, getting a lot of EXP, now rotating on top. Gonna get that level 6 quick, and he's gonna do a ton of damage in this engagement that's coming up very, very soon. So Zenith playing rather well so far, not giving up a single kill, enjoying a comfortable lead, and at this point you need to apply pressure. Don't back off and don't start farming your jungle or anything like that. Make sure that KYT don't get off a good start, even having a Midas. Make sure that Anti-Mage takes as much time as possible to finish his Battle Fury.
Don't you worry, Lumi, because, well, they've got level 6 on Nyx, they've got the Boots of Travel and their Tinker. They ain't backing off. This is Zenith after all. Anti-Mage, wherever he goes, will have a Tinker hunting him. He will have the Battle Fury soon, but he's going to be very squishy. If he gets caught in a lane by himself, especially... Something I don't really like, actually, is that he's gone back and he's maxed Mana Break. And this is a game where he really needs to be split pushing. He needs to be basically just trying to out-farm Zenith. He's not going to be able to come to the fights when there's so many stuns, so much burst damage early, but he is going to be squishy as hell. If he gets caught by Nyx and Taker TP's in, he will die from full HP just to the burst damage.
We do see Magnus running into the team right now. Oh, he's... Nice shockwave.
No RP.
No RP just yet. Oh, he will have it in a couple of seconds. I think Ice is looking for that mana burn. Hero doesn't actually have too much mana to work with. Ice searches across. That's gonna give his creep basically the tower kill, and that's it. Tower. I think it's time to get out of there. No, he does not. And there's gonna be a stun afterwards. Can you vacuum? It's gotta be a perfect shot.
No.
RP comes down. Wrath comes down, but there's just no follow-up. I think that was a horrible RP.
Oh, that RP. I mean, I guess he thought the Prophet ult would be enough to snipe at least one kill. That was probably the thinking, but you need this RP for more than just one kill, because the position that Neolution's in right now is, if they don't have RP, they can't defend their towers. Their supports are way too underleveled to do anything. Level 4 Rubik, level 4 Shadow Demon is not going to stop Gyrocopter and Tinker from sieging you. You need RP to put the Fear of God in Zenith, and when they don't have it, just watch Zenith. They're going to get even more aggressive. Ice TPing back to bottom lane, and Tracer will have Battle Fury soon. But really, where is he going to go to farm? They got the 2 towers bottom early. Now they have the tier 1 top. There's not many places to farm, and Nyx is always a hero you have to worry about. We're going to need to see sentries in the lanes, but the problem is these supports are dirt poor, so buying sentries is going to be a huge tax on them. And right now, I'm just looking at Zenith's vision, and that is actually a pretty filthy amount of vision for 12 minutes into the game.
Yeah, a Tale of Two Cities with one team support getting high amount of level, a lot of go for wards, like you say, or D wards, as Dire definitely needs right now. And of course, you talked about the Battle Fury finish. Battle Furies is nice if you have a Quelling Blade, if you have Treads, and perhaps even a Yasha on top. So he could get like, what, a 13-minute Battle Fury, but he still have to actually go back and get all those basic items. And of course, like you talk about, that Nyx Assassin being big, Anti-Mage is not even safe because he haven't gone for the stat build. I'm very, like I said, I was telling myself, it wouldn't surprise me if he's going to go for a stat build because he needed it. He went back for break, and I'm not sure why.
It's kind of a trend in Southeast Asia. I think Miracle is the one player I've noticed who consistently goes for the stat build, the burning build, as I call it. I guess some people do as well. And well, Miracle's the main player who does it from first departure, but aside from that, it does feel like most Southeast Asian anti-mages, they prefer the combat build. They prefer just going for more points of mana burn early, which is understandable if you're going to be able to shut the Darkseer down in lane, but the issue is they gave him a really quick level 3 mid lane. Action maybe picking up here. We have a teleport in from XY. It looks like the siege will be underway. Nyx on the backlines. No sentries behind the tower. Noxum gets lasered. No initiation from Ice. A bit of miscommunication here by somebody. There's your global Lumi. I think very well timed. They bring down the mag. Now onto Upper, who's on the run. He will escape, but a well-used global. And now the chase on KYT. Shadowblade is here. There's nothing to cancel his TP. But Tracer's gonna fall. Oh no. Didn't blink away. Then the curse kicks in, and down he goes.
Yeah, level 2 Blink. Very, very low cooldown. Maybe he should have leveled the Blink instead. He blinked in, thinking he was able to at least pick up a support. Not only did he not get that, well, definitely pay for his life. And of course, the global, very well-timed one, right? That's the one we could say, yeah, good job, X-Freedom. Not only really shutting down Magnus in terms of his combo, but also letting them to get a couple extra kill. Yamate flat canning on. I mean, you talked about Zenith wanting to go late game, getting a little bit greedy, but right now they don't need to. They're so far ahead. They could basically keep getting towers. There's XY's Tinker, and suddenly if you're the squishy supports, slow Shadow Demon, squishy Furion, well, they're going to get picked off quite easily in the hectic team fight that's going to quickly ensure to follow.
I've noticed that he prefers the laser build, and I'd have to go back and check over Maxi Rockets, but I think it's when he plays against Anti-Mage, just because the pure damage...
He does it all the time.
Does he do it all the time? Okay.
Anti-Mage or not, yeah.
Well, this game it'll be especially good against Anti-Mage then, because, I mean, that's half his HP, basically. That pure damage laser doing, what is it, 320 damage against a 740 HP Anti-Mage. So yeah, that, a laser, an Impale, a Mana Burn, he's dead. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to work out really well this game.
I mean, as for laning against a solo mid hero, Magnus, I mean, the extra rocket doesn't really come to fruition, so there's no really point to use it. It's a very, very kind of expensive spell, but not that expensive on the early levels. 95 level 1, you could kind of spam it quite a bit, and I think that's really the primary reason that he gets it and max it quite quickly in the early levels as well. But look at where Prophet is right now. He's just having a very, very tough time farming his own jungle. You don't know where the Nyx Assassin is. And of course, with the Blink Dagger Tinker, he could basically be anywhere as well. They actually know... Oh,
they know.
Say, did they find... if you see the trees right now, like right here, you kind of know exactly where he is. But he just gets the hell out.
Here comes the smoke gank from Neolution. This is crucial for them. They have RP online again. They've only been finding 1 hero RPs, 2 hero RPs that don't lead to kills in some cases. We need a big initiation from them. It's going to be The Mag leading the way. He's actually invis, so the smoke will wear off, but still... Oh no, now the smoke dispels. X-Freedom spotted them out. And here comes the backstab from Ice Ice Ice. He's got a mech online. He's got a level 3 vacuum. Rockets come through. They're only level 1. Actually level 2 now. The throw up in the air. Ice 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 manning up. Vacuums 3 in. Into the march, I think, just there. Yamate with a quick, easy double. And now the chase is on. Fortunately, our Invis Magnus will escape. But Zenith just... I mean, what could you say? They're up 10k gold. They're up 10k experience. They gave away the anti-mage mag combo, and they are just manhandling it with some great team decision-making. Really feeling like Neolution is just playing a bit tentative at this point, and you can't play that way against Zenith.
Yeah, again, the decision for Zenith to go offensive tri-lane...
or defensive tri-lane, you mean.
Defensive tri... Sorry. It is a little late. Defensive tri-lane and out-laning, basically, out-farming the enemy team. A little bit greedy, definitely pay off here, and that smoke gank, if you're in a situation like this where you're down behind in terms of kill, hugely down behind the EXP, and those smoke ganks need to work, as soon as your smoke dispel, you just run like hell, especially when there's a tier 1 tower that the enemy could TP to. You cannot afford to take any more unnecessarily big risks like they just did. And well, now here comes a tier 2 push. There's an RP up, but for me, the global is up, and that trumps the RP, at least right now, because they have a lot of time to drop that global because they're tankier, they have more gold, more XP to work with.
And there's no Blink Dagger. That's the other big thing.
Yeah, that's a big thing as well.
It's really hard to get it off. And I really feel like the way the game is developed does come down to those micro decisions from Neolution. We saw a lot of emphasis placed on shutting down XY's Tinker, respect towards him with the early warding, the courier snipe attempt. Zenith were prepared for that with the Observer ward, and then as a result of that, the byproduct was that Ice 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 got an uncontested, KYT, impaled, mana burn, vacuumed, and death. But because they focused so much on shutting down XY, they let Ice 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 hit level 2 for free, at which point Anti-Mage just felt like he had to play defensively, had to get the point in the mana shield. Had they maybe focused on Ice 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 first, Anti-Mage could have had a more powerful start. Maybe he's able to just zone the Darkseer out of lane himself if that level 2's delayed a lot, but it's all those little things just not quite going Neolution's way, and then Zenith capitalizing completely on those slight things just not working out for them.
Yeah, but 1735, they got the Battle Fairy down. I mean, they still need that trip, but let's see how much he could do.
Oh, he is so dead. If he doesn't blink right now, there's an Impale. I think just start with the Impale. We'll see it. This looks to be death.
Yep. Cooldown not going to be there of the blink. I'm very surprised they didn't even use global. Not that they needed it, but most teams would be like, yeah, anti-mage heal, we'll go over for that. But the trap was just coming from all sides, and Zenith says, yeah, we'll get the kill for sure anyways. BKB's up on Yamate. To be honest, I think most team would have just said, let's all mid now and win the game, and I think they can. Zenith, gonna take their time though.
Bottom lane, XY, looking for a kill here, maybe on our Nature's Prophet, but he doesn't have quite enough mana. Even with the level 1 rearm, it is still very expensive to spam those spells. He'll just head back to base. But he's driving Prophet off the lanes. Something that Prophet normally loves to do in this game, the reason the Anti-Mage Prophet combo is so strong, is Prophet just delays the game while Anti-Mage split pushes and farms. When you have Tinker, Darkseer, and Gyro and Nyx, heroes that can either map control and threaten if you split push, or counter the split push with great counter push of their own, you can't really play that style. So we, like you said earlier, KYT farming the enemy jungle, hiding on their hill. This is not stalling the game. It's not creating space for the anti-mage. Sure, he's getting farm, but it's not doing anything to prevent what we're seeing now, which is this tier 2 falling top and basically the last outer defenses of Neolution easily being breached.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting farmed, but not really the rate that he wants to farm in. And it's also paying respect to that Shadow Blade on the Gyrocopter, paying respect to the fact that there is a Nyx Assassin on the field. He wants to really farm the lane, but he really can't, like the split push, the anti-split push you talked about. XY on the bot lane, just farming up. The Dire team, the Radiant team could split push for all they want because there's really nothing that the Dire can do. Not without the Magnus, without the Blink Dagger, and of course,
bottom. There's your global. Onto the anti-mage they'll go. He might be able to blink away XY, blinking, but doesn't have the vision. He throws out the march, and Tracer trapped in the trees. Might go down here. Quelling Blades through. Blink's cooling down. One more hit. It brings him down. So their global there used another death for our anti-mage. And really, you gotta say, where does he go to farm?
Nowhere. I mean, and the enemy jungle, I guess that's the safest place to farm, but that's a long, long trip. And I mean, another kill being kind of punished by not having max blink. This is a really important game to max blink because there's so much chasing power on the Radiant side.
I just really like the way Zenith has played this game. Like, even going back to the draft, as soon as they saw those first 3 picks, they said, we're going to get greedy. We're just going to pick 5 heroes that will scale well, benefit from farm, and basically get a tiny lead and then push our advantage. I don't think they necessarily expected to have this easy of a time, but as soon as they did, they really punished it. No sentry wards behind this tower. Here comes your 2-hero Impale. The cooldown as well. Vacuumed in to death, to annihilation. 3 dead in a matter of seconds.
Picture perfect team fight here for Zenith. BKB charge used, not even necessary, and they're gonna take the tier 2, gonna go straight up to the high ground for a tier 3. There is still that RP, but I mean, has Magnus had dropped a single good RP this game? I haven't seen one yet.
And now he really doesn't have an opportunity to, because you even try to come near the creep wave, well, you're getting missiled, your blink tag is probably getting disabled by that Tinker rocket spam, and March of the Machines as well, something you're gonna have to run through. Speaking of Tinker, XY, look at a Sight device, probably in the next minute or two, and that's pretty much the nail in the coffin for me. I don't think Neolution even has a shot once that comes up.
Yeah, I mean, if somehow Prophet farms his Sight device up, maybe they could do something, but I mean, Tinker's gonna have his way quicker.
One of these comes with a blink and a rearm.
Yeah.
One of these doesn't, so.
One of them comes with a 800 HP frame, or 1200 HP frame. It's a little bit more respectable, I guess.
Well, he packs a punch, but he's a squishy one, like he said, and Yamate up to 3.3k. The noose is tightening, and it's doing so at an alarming rate.
Well, I talked about how this might be a 2-1 Zenith. I would like to retract that statement, seeing how this team, maybe it's unfairly so against Neolution Thailand, but Zenith is looking really good this game.
They are, and it just feels like they know exactly what Neolution wanted to do. Starting with the draft, going back to the lanes, we're going to see a vacuum here in KYT. Gets caught. Finally, they found him. He's been farming that enemy jungle all game, but now Ice is unstoppable. And really, it's Zenith as a team, which feels unstoppable. Winter said that Zenith has been beating Invictus Gaming in scrims, that Orange has been having a lot of trouble against them, that his team has been struggling. Zenith, at least in scrims, has been arguably one of the strongest teams in the entire Asia region, and that's not just Southeast Asia, that's all of the Asia region. Now, obviously, scrims only count for so much, but I think we are seeing an element of that there. This is a very deep team, and here we go mid. Blink in. No Sight device up yet, though. XY just feeling manly as all hell. Blinks it, drops the laser, will back off, start spamming the march, and they're looking to finish this game right now, Lumi.
Yeah, Noxum's going to try to delay that with the march of his own, but he's going to have to go back. He doesn't have to have rearm with that march, so it's not going to be as impressive. I mean, you talked about Invictus Gaming versus Zenith in scrims. I really want to see Zenith, how they really match up in the higher brackets of the G1 League qualifier phase number 3. That's when you have, 8 proven teams, really proven teams, and they're going to be matched up against, if they beat against Neolution Thailand, they're going to be matched up against who in the next stage,
I'm not sure. It's actually, I think it's been posted. I didn't have a chance to really read the post thoroughly, but we are going to see
I'll check it out right now.
The mid-racks. While you're checking it out, mid lane, a bit of an initiation here. The racks will fall pretty much uncontested. But of course, we're talking like this series is over a little bit, and that's not fair. It is a best of 3, but game 1, all but determined at this point. Neolution have not tapped out. You imagine they're most likely just discussing strategy for game 2 because you've lost mid-racks against a Tinker, against a Nyx, against a very global, mobile, aggressive lineup. The Sight device up as well, and KYT caught again, instantly brought down. The gem up on ice, nice and early at that. Zenith playing pretty disciplined. They're a team that occasionally overextends and gets too aggressive, but this game, I felt like they've been very patient and kind of restrained themselves from making those mistakes.
The winner of this particular match... Oh, sorry, this is... No, keep talking, LD.
Alright, Ice. Vanguard online for him. No big item pickups. At this point, if you're Zenith, you pretty much just want to get some aggressive lane wards. Well, who am I kidding? They already have them. They've got wards in the enemy base. They've got wards in the enemy jungle, and Neolution smokes up in their own jungle. They're gonna find Ice. They'll blink RP. They just want something. They'll get this poor Nyx. The gem on the floor as well, so a decent kill, but will they pick that gem up in Traso? Go next. They get the smoke gang. They get the 1 kill on Ice, and they say, we're done. We just wanted a little revenge. Well, game's over now, folks, but Zenith leading the series 1-0 in the best of 3. We're headed to that game number 2. If Zenith take it, they move on to phase 3. If they lose, then we go to deciding game 3. But right now, I mean, this is a beatdown. This is an 18-1, 20k gold lead, 18k experience lead. Zenith is not messing around. Yamate, Ice is not messing around, and XY is most certainly not screwing around. Zenith looks good, but they haven't finished it yet. They'll have to do that in game 2.
I was pretty sure that Neolution was going to play until they get that one kill and tap out, and that's exactly what they did. In the phase number 3, the winner of this match, Zenith versus Neolution, will be playing DK. So that's... DK, we haven't seen them play a lot yet, but that's something far off in the future. Game 2, Neolution will look to try to stay alive Meanwhile, Zenith, hopefully, let's see if they can make it quick.
Yeah, let's see if they can make a series of it, because this just didn't feel like a real game. It felt like the pros messing around with the amateurs. Neolution, they look great taking down Tong Fu, but Neolution Thailand 1 game away now from elimination. Guys, thank you for tuning in. I'm LD, he's Luminous. We are Beyond the Summit. You are watching the G1 Champions League Phase 2 Asian qualifiers. After these games, we move on into Phase 3, which will kick off not tomorrow, but the next day. And basically, I think it's like 48 hours, something like that. Maybe even a little bit less than that. But I'm looking forward to it. You guys should be too. For now, take a quick break. We'll be right back with Game 2. If Zenith win, they're into Phase 3. If they lose, we go to a deciding Game 3. Neolution's back, now up against the wall. Stay tuned for more action after this.